Hello and welcome to another FPL Top Guns with myself Az and Goose, Mr. Luke.
Sorry, were you talking to me? Yeah, hi. I don't usually respond to that, but just for now, I'll do it.
It's because you
Yeah, hi,
put
mate.
Tom Cruise in your profile picture. You think you're Maverick.
We've been through this numerous times. There is only one Maverick taking -12s and doing all sorts of radical behaviour, such as triple captaining Sterling for a stunning 3 points, and that is
Yeah,
me, my
wow.
son.
Yeah, you might actually have earned it with that move. That was pretty ballsy.
Got me one more point than you, didn't it, son? Who's laughing now?
Oh wow, yeah. So we've been away for a few weeks. We're back now. Real life getting in the way again, but uh, well, your kids are screaming in the background. But I assume you've got the night off, kind of.
Yeah, I'm just going to bang on the wall, and the next step is
Shut those
definitely going
kids
to be
down.
muted. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about what's been happening the last few weeks. It's been pretty dreadful, although you've been doing slightly better than me. We got quite a few questions from people. I mean, loads of responses to the tweet about earlier. So thanks everyone that asked the question. We're going to cover some of those. There's some that are sort of coming up quite often. We're going to talk about Raheem Sterling because a few people are thinking of ditching him, including myself. You just bought him in, and you're thinking of ditching him as well, aren't you?
Yeah,
Mm.
thinking about it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. We're going to talk about Leicester because we didn't get to cover Leicester after their big win against Southampton, and now they're grinding out wins against teams like Palace as well. They look kind of the real deal. And then we'll just talk about kind of what our plans are going forward. So yeah, do you want to kick us off, Luke? How's the last 2 weeks been?
Well, let's forget this week for now. My previous 2 weeks prior to that, I know we covered one of them, but I've put it on Twitter quite a bit as well if anyone follows me on there. But my team failed to score a goal in 2 weeks.
Mm.
So I was pretty pissed off, to be honest, mate. I was considering packing it all in, like leaving the wife and kids and just like go living in the hills. And honestly, I was chronically depressed after that. I didn't think my team was that bad on paper, and it basically come down to one of two things. Either I'm really, really unlucky, or I'm utterly shit at FBL. And gradually, the realization is happening that it must be the latter. So that inspired my Maverickness, crime of passion, -12 for this week because I was just sick to death of looking at them. To be honest, there
So
was no
let's
there was no method in it.
let's
Just
have a
so
look at
loud.
your hit because it was a big old hit, wasn't it? You took out Otamendi, you took out Mahrez, you took out
Yeah.
Aubameyang, and you took out Kelly. So, I mean, I can, with those four players, you can see immediately why you've taken those four out. Three of them aren't playing, and one of
Mm.
them didn't score in 3 weeks. So, very sensible. You bought in Robertson, who you were talking about getting in for ages because you wanted to double up on the Liverpool defence. You bought in Sterling because he had a home game against Southampton. You bought in Connolly because he was playing Norwich and he's a cheap 4.6 forward. And you bought in Cancelo, who, well, you were bigging him up last time we spoke, weren't you? Saying that if he didn't play, you'd get some points off the bench. And, well, it worked out, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. But I just want to add that I was going to actually start Lundstrom, wasn't I? As
Yeah, I got in your head, didn't I?
I didn't even. The thing is, I put my team out right, saying basically because I was triple captain in Sterling, saying go big or go home. And it had Lundstrom in the starting 11 and Jimenez on the bench. And then all the responses were essentially, well, not all of them, but what are you doing? Like, you got to play Jimenez. I'm sitting there thinking, Lundstrom, Sheffield United's the best defence in the league, apparently. They're at home. And this guy's playing up front, so he's a special case. If he gets one goal, he's really going to piss me off. He's going to end up getting max bonus. Clean sheet is more than capable. And he's going to hit like 15 points if that's the case. Jimenez is going to have to score at least a brace against Arsenal, which, he could do. But I thought, adding his ownership, I've got to go for Lundstrom. And then what happens? I just, everyone's saying the opposite. The way the weeks have been going, I refer you back to point A. I'm shit at FBL. I thought I'm questioning myself in everything. They're probably right. The most likely scenario is Sheffield United just concede a goal and Jimenez is in good form. He probably scores one. So forget ceilings. Jimenez is going to do it. So I did it. But in the end, Cancelo bailed me out by not even playing. Who, by the way, played 390 minutes in a row and looked to be basically, well, not nailed, but staking his claim to be the new right back. Walker was nowhere to be seen. And then Walker goes and puts in an absolute wonder performance as well, just to add on that note. But yeah, in the end, I can't really complain. I got 80 points this week. Well, minus 12. So not too bad, really. I mean, a lot of people did worse and better. I've seen all sorts of
But
variations.
what's incredible is that, you know, you say that you're shit at FPL, you listen to the one person who's doing worse than you. Yeah, I mean, I ran some. I looked at the comparison in the members area of FS Scout of Jimenez versus Lundstrom, and I mean, it was absolutely no contest. Jimenez was absolutely smashing him in every regard. That it just sums up this season that I don't like to sit on the fence. I normally have quite strong opinions about things. This is the week that I decided to have a really strong opinion that Lundstrom wasn't going to score, and he got a brace. I mean, come on, come on.
Oh God! Honestly, you don't know how upset I was. I mean, for a man who's taken a minus 12, not had a goal in 2 weeks, has put his triple captain into this game week, and has then publicly shown his team and then reverted Lundstrom to the bench, only to have Cancelo benched, and then the amount of panic that was going through my mind, thinking, "No, my luck. There is no way that Cancelo is not getting subbed on." The fact that he started Angelino as well, I was thinking, this guy's not played 90 minutes once. So one of two things are going to happen here. He's either going to come off for Mendy, and I'm going to get really lucky, which I was hoping was going to happen as the left back, or Cancelo is going to cover and he's going to save Mendy, because obviously Cancelo can play left back. I thought, I know what's going to happen, but in the end, it didn't happen. I got away with it. I got away with that mistake.
You really did. I mean, you know, you took a minus 12, but I think the players you bought in did about as well as the players you took out, right? Because Aubameyang
it's my mismanagement as usual. A couple of them I didn't need to do. Like Aubameyang scored, I already had Jimenez, already had Mane. I wouldn't have captained Sterling because obviously I wouldn't have had him. So it would have probably been either Aubameyang or De Bruyne. It would have probably been De Bruyne, to be honest. So I would have got one extra point there. I wouldn't have used my triple captain. So to be honest, doing the hit probably worked out worse for me as usual. Yeah. But hey, it's done. We move on.
It's done. Yeah. I mean, you know, Lundstrom. The thing is, I feel like I had sort of a pretty good week. I got 53 points. I took a hit, and the hit actually paid off. I bought in. It was weird because my hit, I took Callum Wilson out for Vardy, which meant I had to downgrade Otamendi just to a non-playing. I just bought in. Well, actually, we'll come on to I bought in a second, but essentially a non-playing 4 million defender. And so it's kind of like trading two players for one, really. But I worked it out, and actually, I would have played Otamendi if I'd kept him, because, you know, just in case he played, the 1 point was pretty devastating for anyone who still had him. And, you know, he got 1 point. Callum Wilson got 1 point. It's only 2 points there. I bought in Vardy and I played McGinn, who got an assist. So that's 11 points there, take away 4. So I'm 7 points up on that hit with Vardy now in my team. So, you know, that's probably the first sort of result I've had that's gone my way. The trouble is, I got 53 points without Lundstrom, without Soyuncu, without Mane. So it's a pretty good week. I just relying on sort of those players not really doing that well, and they all did. So I ended up with another red arrow, down to 2 million in the world. I mean,
gosh, shocking, isn't it?
It is unreal. Yeah, you're a million places ahead of me.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know. How many points is that? It can't be that many points, can it?
You're a million ahead of me, and you're about 25 points ahead of me.
Okay, that can easily be made up.
Yeah.
I mean, Lundstrom got 21 on his own, for Christ's sake.
I know. Yeah, 25 points ahead of me, you're.
It was more of a normal week, though, I think, in terms of the last 2 weeks have just been so bad. At least some players returned this week. And as ever, it was kind of like you either had the ones that did well or you didn't. You know, like most of the time, it's not everyone in your team returns. There's a few select key players that, like Mane, for example, you either had him or you didn't have him. And they made the difference between your week. In this case, it was, you know, Lundstrom, Mane, and I think, you know, Soyuncu. I don't even count Tammy Abrahams. I think everyone's got him. So it's pretty much those few, if you had them or not. Me and you both paid the extra money for Pereira. Everyone says you get what you pay for. What's that, a 9-0 with no involvement, and then absolutely sod all compared to Soyuncu this week? And
really,
even hit the post this week.
Really irritating. Like, you know, because if I'd gone for Chilwell or Soyuncu as well, then I would have, you know, I was so close to getting Vardy as 0.1 off. So if I'd gone for one of the,
same for me.
Exactly. If we'd gone for the cheaper ones, not only are we getting the 20 extra points from Soyuncu or Chilwell. We're also getting like 20 extra points for Vardy from the Southampton game. So that decision of going with Pereira has actually cost me like 40 points.
I think I'm not far off that because I also weighed up Soyuncu and Vardy, and I wasn't sure whether I wanted to double on Leicester or Jimenez and Pereira, and I
Yeah.
thought I'll go that route. I know
Yeah.
Jimenez has obviously scored this week, but it's still nowhere off Vardy, just off the base of that hat trick alone, really.
And actually, I've watched Leicester's last couple of games, and Pereira is barely getting involved, and it is Chilwell who's looking. They're looking to use that left hand side a lot more, I think, because Pereira's just not looking that threatening from what I can see.
Yeah, what can you do? He's the one who's had the proven record. Soyuncu's pretty much had no threat. Chilwell's always had flirted with it, but never quite came through. But it's timing. So much is to do with timing in fantasy football. And Pereira just scored 2 goals, so you could argue we've missed the boat. We brought him in, and it was too late. It's knowing when that trend is going to continue or when you've missed it. I mean, there's so many examples, I think, this season alone. Look at Pukki. He's like 5 or 6 blanks in a row.
Yeah.
But he's the 5th highest scoring striker in the game at the moment because he had so many points. So if you got the timing wrong there, if you finally decided I'm going to have to cave, like many people did, and basically never seen a point from him, it's just,
I know.
It's that balance of getting it right. I mean, just to weigh quickly back on my game, why I did it. The other thing is, I just decided I'm going to have to get Sterling in my team and captain him this week because everyone was going to be captaining Sterling at home to Southampton. At least it felt like it. And they've just been spanked 9-0. Man City's B team dealt with them in the cup. It was as close as we could get for a nailed-on City player, attacker at home. I mean, everyone thought Mendy would probably play because he got rested. So, usually it seems to be that he aids it. And I just thought, I have to get this guy on my team. So when I'm taking a -12 to get him just for this week, it wasn't necessarily a long-term thing. I'm going to maximise my points in that week. I thought, well, I'm just going to triple captain him because that way I can hopefully make up some of those points off the -12 that I've made. And looking forward, I've always wanted to triple captain a City player, really, because they've just, again, their expected goals are just through the roof every week. It's going to happen eventually where they spank someone. And I can't be sure that any of them are going to play twice in a double game week. So I talked myself into it. I was like, fine, do it.
Well, I mean, the logic's sound. I mean, Southampton have had it's been noted they've got a weakness down the left, which is where Sterling played. They really defensively vulnerable. I think the problem was, and I think someone mentioned it on Twitter, was that playing a team who kind of know they're going to get spanked is always a bit of a worry because
it is. I just thought there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I thought when I saw it, I thought this could be a really good move. When I saw Mendy wasn't in the team though, it's a bit of a concern. And I think I think that brings us on quite nicely to the next question of Sterling, because I think he hasn't been doing that well this season. When he has looked better has been when Mendy's playing, but it's looking a bit like Mendy's a risk again because, I mean, he's their only real fit left back now, isn't he? I mean, Angelino has come in and got an assist and a clean sheet, but he's definitely the kind of backup to him. So Mendy hasn't got any competition from Zinchenko, who's injured, and Cancelo's not really a left back. Laporte played left back on some occasions, but he's injured. So it does look like Pep is sort of being really careful with him, and he wants to use him in the Champions League because I think that's his priority this year. So when Sterling plays without Mendy, he's plays so far over to the left. You kind of think, is he worth the 12 million? And with some tough fixtures coming up.
Yeah, and normally I'd agree with you, but on this game against Southampton, Angelino was bought as Mendy. I think at the time as Mendy, they weren't even sure whether they could get back into the team. Zinchenko sort of comes inside, and Angelino was more like Mendy. He goes on the outside. He is just an attacking fullback. And I looked at it in the members area, and Angelino was far more advanced than Mendy's been, and was putting in more crosses and hugging the left side. He put in 18 crosses in that game alone. And Sterling tucked in. So I think there shouldn't. I mean, it's been that way so far. But if Angelino is going to play, I'd say if anything, he's a more attacking version of Mendy at the moment. So it should only benefit him. It just didn't happen on this occasion. And Sterling's done that so often. Like you say, it's just crazy. I think it's hat-trick game week 1, which everyone knows about, when everyone captained Salah, I think, or a Liverpool player at least. And then apart from that, he's just picked up 1 goals here or there. He scored against Villa, I think, and Everton, if I remember rightly. I can't remember who else it was. Bournemouth. I don't know, maybe I made that one up. I think you did. But that's it. And it's just been a series of blanks. And it's kind of frustrating, isn't it? But because his numbers are still so good. And this guy's one of the best players in the world at the moment, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's, looking at the heat map. So the members area is great. I mean, I love my main sort of love about the members area is definitely the heat maps. I think they really do tell a story. So if you look at Sterling's heat map against Villa, his heat map is like basically his main bit of heat is literally in, not even just in the penalty area, but like basically on the goal line, like just outside of the goal line. Whereas you look at his heat map from the match against Southampton, and it's well outside of the penalty area.
I mean,
So
last season he was like the shadow striker. Aguero was frustrating and
mm,
kind of fluffed everyone around and drew and took players out of position. He still did well, don't get me wrong. But Sterling was there for tap-ins. He was there for tap-ins all the time. So many of his goals last season were tap-ins.
yeah.
Just ghosting in. And it just seems to be missing at the moment. But I still think it's going to come, I still feel uneasy taking him out. I mean, I took him out before because I decided he wasn't doing it and I could captain Kevin De Bruyne instead. What happened? Instantly, Sterling starts picking up like one goal here or there and Kevin De Bruyne just does nothing for a little while. So I think I'm going to revert back. I think I've decided I want Sterling and I want to keep him, but it's just so difficult with the games when you're not going to captain. What are you planning to do with Sterling?
Well, my plan has always been to sell either him or De Bruyne and get Mane, because I've kind of put myself in a bit of a corner with Aubameyang because I've held on to him for this long now, and he's got 3 brilliant games coming up in Southampton at home, Norwich away, and then Brighton at home. And I've stuck with him this long. I want to give him those three matches. Whether that's sensible or not is going to be we'll probably be talking about in a few weeks, but that's the kind of position I'm in with him. So I need to get Mane in. I just think I'm looking around the teams. I'm looking at the points. I'm looking at who's scoring, who's looking like the kind of talisman. And Mane is the talisman now of the best team in the league. And I haven't got him, and their fixtures are about to turn amazing. So it just makes no sense to go without him.
One of the few things I've got right for my own team was when we discussed it a few weeks ago, and I said I've got no desires to get rid of Mane from my team,
No.
even through those hard games. I thought I'm definitely keeping him, that is probably one of the only things I've actually done well for my own team, anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Mane's points. He's so explosive. He's got four double-digit hauls. Sterling's got 2. One of them was on the first day of the season. I mean, Sterling's points just haven't been good enough for a 12 million or 12.1 million midfielder. And the fixtures are turning. So, and I've got De Bruyne as well. Anyway, I mean, De Bruyne. There's been a few questions about De Bruyne because he's kind of regressed a bit now. He got an assist against Villa, but he doesn't. From watching him, when I watched him at the start of the season, like right up until that Watford game, right up until he got injured, I think I was thinking this isn't the De Bruyne I've seen a few seasons ago. This is the De Bruyne who's like he gets the ball and he's driving into the penalty area. And he's like looking for tap-ins. He's looking to like score like from inside the box. Hadn't seen him do that before. Whereas now, I think with Fernandinho moving back into centre back, he's now occupying a bit more of a deep lying role. And
He might be onto something there. Yeah, I don't know.
you can just see he's passing the ball sideways and staying back. And that's not what he was doing at the start of the season.
No, I've got a little stat for you here.
Hit me.
Did you know that De Bruyne created the same amount of chances as Trossard, who played for 31 minutes?
I did not. Is that good for Trossard, though, or is that bad for De Bruyne?
Well, Trossard did well, but I think it's only 2.5 chances or something like that. And I mean, he's at home to Southampton in a game where they just lost 9-0. I would have thought he would have created more.
Yeah, I know, and I do think that kind of Laporte injury and the fact that now Otamendi is just completely out of the picture and Fernandinho looks like he's going to be partnering Stones as centre back. I think that does hurt De Bruyne because also Rodri's out as well. So they had, because before he was playing in the trio with them where he was like the tip of the diamond, and he was the one getting forward. Now they haven't got that option, so he's got to come back a bit. So
this is the problem, though. I feel like we're reactive to this stuff. I feel like say we've noticed that trend a little bit now, and we think, oh, this is happening for a while, but things can change so quickly.
Yeah,
and like next week he could be further forward again and suddenly you have to revert. And it's similar to what I did with removing Sterling because he wasn't getting any. He was hugging the left wing, if you remember, which is when Zinchenko was playing. And after that game week 1 hat-trick, he basically wasn't doing anything. And that's why I decided I was going to get rid of him. He's hugging the left wing. And then what happens? Mendy comes back into the team. They have someone go on the outside and he starts looking like he's the real deal again. And everyone's got to have him. And then I just feel like sometimes we are too reactive to these things. And it's like De Bruyne's still the best player in the league. So is he just suddenly going to turn it on again despite the fixtures? And we're just going to be sitting there going, why did we even question that?
Well, there's a couple of that's one side of the argument. My counterpoint would be, I mean, firstly, he's on all the set pieces, and I think when you're playing against some of the harder sides, they've got Liverpool, then Chelsea, and then they've got 2 tough away games with teams who are going to sort of flood the box, and his delivery from those set pieces could be the difference. So, I like the fact he's on set pieces. Also, he occupied, he's not normally the advanced player that I saw at the start of the season. He is normally this deep-lying playmaker who got 200 points 2 seasons in a row. So even as a deep-lying playmaker, he's still more than capable of getting 200 points.
Yeah, and he actually got the most touches in the opponent's half this week with 116 touches in the opponent's half. Now, that might be just over the halfway line because the team's so pushed up. But he's seeing all the ball in an area where De Bruyne can hurt you. Just anywhere in the opponent's half, he can hurt you. So
I think I'm leaning towards losing Sterling. Because it's easier for me because I could just make the switch in one move. Just Sterling to Mane, easy. Whereas if I lost De Bruyne, I'd have to have a real reshuffle. I mean, if I wanted to lose De Bruyne rather than Sterling, I'd have to downgrade Aubameyang, which could be the sensible thing to do. But it'd probably be another hit. It's kind of a bit. I'm not really too sure.
I think when Sterling and De Bruyne have scored similar points, and one costs it's only 2.5 million more now or 2 million more. Then there's not really an argument. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think you've got to pick them. The only thing you've got to be wary of is that De Bruyne has got goals in him, but I think Sterling literally has a 4 or 5 goals in him at one point. That could happen. So you just have to be wary of that. But at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable captaining him, and Mane, as we've just highlighted, is doing really well as a captain.
This is it. I mean, it's 14 and 15. So Newcastle away, Burnley away. Like they're 2 good games where Sterling could hurt. But in those 2 weeks, Liverpool have Brighton and Everton at home.
Yeah. And I'm considering, I don't really have another option in my team at the moment, just putting the armband on Mane this week, because I feel like Mane could destroy that City backline.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing different players every week. You don't know who's going to play there. Surely, I mean, apparently, my friend told me that the bookies have got Man City down as slight favourites for this game. Now, I don't know whether he's talking rubbish, but given their recent record against each other, the fact that Liverpool are at home and City's defence is, I mean, they don't look as a complete team as Liverpool. I find that surprising. So I think he must have got that wrong, to be honest with you. But I've got Liverpool down as probably comfortably winning that. Do you think that as well?
Yeah, I think Liverpool are ahead of City this season. I mean, the league table reflects it, but also just the consistency of what they've been doing. I mean, last year, it also looked like Liverpool's to win, and then City did beat them and sort of turn the whole title race around. So that could be playing on their minds. But if you think about, neither team looks particularly solid, which is the issue. I mean, it should be a really good game because it could go either way. I would favour Liverpool in it, but it's a tough one to call.
I just don't know. I mean, Man City's defence seemed to be struggling with Danny Ings and random people who are just sort of. I mean, the opponents don't get much chances, but they still manage to cause them problems. It's like, how are they going to deal with Mane?
Yeah, but look at Liverpool failing to deal with McGinn and Trezeguet and bloody Wesley. It's not.
This is true.
I don't know. There's something not right with either defence. It's probably going to be a 0-0, isn't it? Now we've said that.
I really hope not.
I don't think it can be.
Well, let's just touch on that at the moment then, because Liverpool's fixtures are changing. People are seeing that they're possibly the better team or the more consistent FPL options, and at least they're starting lineup most weeks. That helps.
Yeah, definitely.
And they want 3 people from them. So a lot of people are saying, well, do you go for Salah and Mane over this run and ditch Sterling? Because a lot of people already have Mane, like me, so they're considering actually getting Salah instead of Sterling. would you be looking at that or not? Because I'm firmly of the camp of getting the two fullbacks and Mane. That's where I'm at. I don't think I'm going to change that opinion. But do you actually think there's any value in Salah?
No, I don't. I just don't think you can get a player who is having weekly injections into his ankle to clear the fluid out of it. Like he's 12.3 million. He's being outscored by Lundstrom.
So it's about everyone else in the game, though, isn't they? Or apart from Vardy, I think.
Yeah, bad example. But he's, I mean, I just don't think you should be buying a player who's carrying an injury like that. I mean, that doesn't sound good, does it?
It really doesn't. He does remind me somewhat of Kane in that regard, that he just gets flogged almost regardless. Klopp seems to do it with Salah. And that's not, I mean, he hardly had any break as well. He's had an intensive period. People were thinking he might not start the season, if you remember. There was a chance he wasn't. And he's not quite looked at it. His touch is just a bit erratic. I was thinking the other day, he's kind of like a less efficient version of Arjen Robben these days. Like Robben hugged the right side and he was like predominantly left-footed. And he basically had one trick, which was to come inside and shoot. And the thing is with Robben is he'd be like really efficient in terms of he wouldn't really do that often. He'd get the ball and he'd just lay it off and recycle possession. And then maybe once or twice a match, he'd burst for it and he'd have a shot. And 9 times out of 10, it would go in and everyone knew what he was going to do. But he was just so good at doing it. I feel like Salah's kind of similar. Everyone knows what he's going to do and he's going to do it. However, he's not quite as efficient. He'll get the ball. We will pop it off occasionally, but he'll try that run a lot and lose the ball a lot. Hence, he loses the bonus. But then he's obviously a better goal scoring Robben because he just tries so much more to do it, if that makes sense. He's not as efficient, but he tries to bully his way through. And I think teams have worked him out a lot more now. I mean, sometimes you can't stop it. If you're David Luiz, you've got no chance. But anyone else seems to sort of master the technique of actually trying to tackle him.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, if he is carrying like a knock or something to his ankle, then it's going to make that kind of burst of pace harder, isn't it, as well? So he's probably lost a bit of his ability to weave around and stay on his feet and stuff. Because you're right. The comparison with Robben's a good one because he's a very like trickstery type player, isn't he? He likes to,
just a bit more bullish version of Robben. Robben's more streamlined, but obviously don't score as many goals. I think Robben would be a better, like if you're the manager, you'd want Robben on your team because he recycles the possession. But if you're a fan, you'd want Salah because he's going to score you 20 goals a season, which I don't think Robben even got close to that.
Yeah, I think you've got the right idea. I think if I was going to go for the triple up, it'd be Mane, Trent, and Robertson. Robertson's points have been really good. I mean, he's got a header, didn't he, against Villa?
Yeah, he's surely the best left back in the world. I mean, I don't follow international football enough these days to know any different. But
what about Ashley Young?
Mate, he's a left winger. Remember, he's converted. He's the best left winger in the world.
Amazing.
Just having to plug holes everywhere.
If anything ever showed the decline of Man United, it's Ashley Young versus Robertson.
Oh God, yeah, it's really bad, isn't it? I still feel like Robertson and Alexander-Arnold 7 and 9 points again this week. Most defenders, unless your name's Lundstrom or Soyuncu, not really getting much. And they again didn't keep a clean sheet. Surely they're not going to go the whole season having kept 2 clean sheets or whatever it is the whole season. They are going to come as well.
It's unbelievable
at some point.
Yeah, but I mean, Trent getting 2 bonus points when they concede. I mean, how often does a defender get bonus when they concede like that? I know he got the assist, but I think he was even on for bonus before the assist.
He just creates so many chances, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know how many crosses he put in? Have a wild guess as to he put the most amount of crosses of everyone this week.
He put more in than Angelino, who put in about 18.
Correct.
Jesus, more than 20?
I'm going to give it to you. 20 crosses. But do you know how many actually were successful?
4.
You've looked at this, haven't you?
No.
It's bang on 4.
I'll tell you what, this is completely off target. I'm going to play my girlfriend this. For some reason, I'm really good at guessing things, like just completely like randomly like that. I honestly
form a life in a fairground.
I honestly haven't looked at it. 4 out of 20 though. That's pretty bad, isn't it? I mean, who's he aiming at? They haven't exactly got much.
No, I don't know.
Much height.
I guess that's desperation because they were losing at one point, weren't they? Well, they were losing for a lot of it. But yeah, he created loads of chances. He was still on for bonus, but apparently only 4 found their target. The problem is the crosses are so damn good. It's more likely the other person's fault that they weren't in the right area than the other way
Mm.
around.
Oh, actually, that takes us quite nicely onto the next question. Are we done with Liverpool? Because I've got a nice little segue onto the next one.
Yeah, get Salah if you want, but you're braver than me, and he's not worth the money. Go for the fullbacks. That's what I say.
Yeah, I wouldn't be getting Salah. Not when there's Sterling, De Bruyne, Vardy, Mane. It's just too hard to fit him in. I think there's better options. Right, so my little segue. So going on from Alexander Arnold's crossing ability, I watched the Leicester game against Palace, and I don't think I've ever seen a better set piece taker than Maddison.
Really? I mean, I heard noises on Twitter. I didn't get to see it, unfortunately. I was doing kids' parties and God knows what else. But I did hear that he was basically just balling it up.
They must have had this plan, which was Maddison hits the ball as hard as he can across goal. And if someone can just react to it quick enough, then they'll just put it in. He was putting in like the most dangerous looking like balls from corners and free kicks I have ever seen like a player play. So I was watching. Do you know what? I was actually watching it, and I was thinking. I thought Evans might get one because I think he was close a couple of times quite early on.
Right.
And then when he put one in and someone headed it, I was oh, that's definitely going to be one of the centre backs. And it was so good. But his heat map, Maddison's heat map is actually quite alarming. I think for owners, he's playing really deep now. He was playing quite deep against Southampton. He's played even deeper against Palace. He's obviously looking to sort of dictate things from around the halfway line. So I think as an owner, you are now quite reliant on these set pieces, sort of similar to how you might be with De Bruyne, kind of. He's not like De Bruyne light, I think, but for 7.3 million, he's quite a lot, especially when you've got that Tielemans as well, who's quite a bit cheaper and playing sort of more advanced. So I think we just spent a bit of time talking about Leicester because I mean they're just absolutely smashing it, aren't they?
We both had him down for like around top 4, didn't we? I mean, I
Yeah.
think a lot of people did, to be honest. It's not like we can claim anything from that. I mean, just so good. And one of the options I've got is if I wanted to, I could take Sterling out and put Maddison in just to get some Leicester coverage because I've only got Pereira. So they're scoring all these goals and everyone seems to have part of their attack and I don't have any. Obviously, Sterling's playing against Liverpool. I know we just sort of said he's good and we might keep him, but historically he's not done very well against Liverpool, especially at Anfield. He seems to go to bits. So I'm almost thinking for me, because I've only just got him in, I don't lose anything. I could just do a 1 week move to whoever I want and then get Sterling back the next week. But when you pre-plan transfers, that it rarely goes. But Maddison is one of the names I looked at just to get that Leicester coverage. Because although they're playing Arsenal, they can't defend, can they? So I'd be surprised if he wasn't involved. But it just feels like it should be Vardy or no one else at the moment. It just feels like that would be just compromising. So I don't know.
See, I kind of disagree. I think you can't really go wrong with any of them. I think you've got Harvey Barnes and Perez. Harvey, who I think are both looking really good. Perez got a hat trick the other week. He did what sort of actually Pulisic got a hat trick, didn't he? And then followed on with another goal. But
another name I'm looking at.
Yeah, and I mean they're quite explosive kind of options. Both of them. Harvey Barnes, I really like Barnes. I think he's a really good footballer. He just seems to be getting subbed quite early. He's often the first player that kind of gets taken off. But I mean, he's like 6 million. And like, this is the thing with these Leicester midfielders. You've got Tielemans at 6.5, Perez at 6.1, Harvey Barnes at 5.9. And I think Maddison at 7.3 is a good price for him as well. There's loads of choice in that midfield. I think you could get any of them and be relatively happy keeping them over this run.
Yeah, I think Leicester and Chelsea are like just the gifts that keep on giving at the moment. They're just such a good source of points in so many different areas and are extremely good prices. So I wouldn't begrudge anyone going for any of those assets. And I don't know, it's still just for me not having Vardy. I mean, you've got him and everyone else seems to have him. It's annoying. I felt like, it's those red card incidents and those extra goals that have come from him. But at the end of the day, I think this stat is right. Since Brendan Rodgers took over Leicester, no player scored more goals, including Aguero, Sterling, everyone else.
Yep.
So at what point do we say that it's not just luck that he's getting one chance a game and he's got like 45% finishing rate. And it's kind of like the Mane thing where people didn't think it would continue for Mane, but it was sustained over a long period, and it's now bearing
Well,
fruit.
it's not luck. It's this isn't new. This isn't new information. Vardy's been doing this for 3 years. His stats have always been poor, and his conversion rate's always been really high.
That is true. It's not nice. It's similar to the Aubameyang thing, I guess, where he doesn't touch the ball very often. There's probably only gets 1 or 2 chances in the game, and you're relying on him to finish them. And because they're so good, they usually do. But it's just not nice viewing, It's just like, it doesn't feel right. It feels like it's slightly lucky. But
the other good,
it's just because they're so good.
Yeah, but I mean, the other good thing about him, and the thing that he's got, which Abraham hasn't got, Sterling hasn't got, De Bruyne hasn't got, Mane hasn't got, he's got the penalties.
Yeah, and he's less money than Aubameyang as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
he's 1.8 million less than Aubameyang. I mean, I've got Aubameyang and Vardy. If I just had Aubameyang, I would 100% be doing Aubameyang to Vardy. Like that is just the easiest move you could do, I think, this week.
Yeah, and when I was having my sensible moment when I wasn't going to do my -12, I was thinking, well, I've got Aubameyang, I could downgrade him to Vardy to make my improvements elsewhere. But at the end of the day, I was so hell-bent on getting Sterling, so utterly convinced was I that he was going to do well and punish me, because everyone's going to have his captain, that I couldn't do it. I couldn't fit him into my team. So, I say I paid the price. Did he only get 6 points this week?
Yeah, he only got 6.
So it's not the end of the world. It's just, I feel like I can wait, but then the Arsenal game scares me. There's no sort of outstanding captain this week, I don't think. Because obviously Liverpool and City play each other. Sorry, do they play each other? Yeah, they do play each other this week, don't they?
Yeah.
I got it right. So it kind of takes out all our main players, and it's like Vardy at home to Arsenal. He still scares me. I feel like I should get him.
I will eat my chair if Vardy doesn't score against Arsenal.
Right, well, given how things are going for you at the moment, your advice.
To me, it is just the easiest captaincy choice in the world with Liverpool playing City. I mean, like you say, that could be a comfortable Liverpool win. It could be a cheeky Man City win. It could be 1-0. Like, there's uncertainty around that game. I just have absolutely no doubt, which can only be a bad thing, that Vardy is going to score. It's his favourite team to play against. He always scores against Arsenal. This is the worst Arsenal defence I think I've ever seen. That's saying something. They've got no confidence or form. They apparently, if Emery loses this, he's sacked. So they're going to be going all out to lose this game.
Can I just remind you of Stepanovs?
Of who?
And Pascal Sagan.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, true. But
Igor Stepanovs. He was a character.
Yeah, but I mean Socrates. He is the most comical defender.
Yeah, I think Arsenal won the league in the season that Stepanovs played most of his games. So
well, yeah, I can't see him winning the league with Socrates in the team. But yeah, no, I just think this is an absolute banker for Vardy to get at least a goal in this game, and I need that at the moment.
That's what worries me again. I don't think I'm going to do it though. I think I don't know. We're moving on to plans yet. Are we going to do that yet? We don't really have a structure, do we? Have we got
we can. I mean, just on that, if you were asking me about your team, which I wouldn't advise because I'm 2 million in the world. I think you took a -12 to kind of plan your team around. You knew Vardy just scored 20 points. It wasn't like you would have considered him if you'd taken a 12-point hit. At some point.
Oh yeah, he was strongly considered. Definitely.
Yeah, so you've chosen to kind of go without him. I think you kind of just have to. It'd be another hit, wouldn't it? Another -4, -8 or something to get him in.
Yeah, I would have to do it, but there's a number of ways I could do it if I wanted to. But I think I'm just going to ride it out. I mean, how much damage can he do for me against Arsenal?
It's a good game for him, though. It's the game. It's the game that I always knew I'd have him in for. Even if he hadn't scored the 20 points against Southampton.
Such is your confidence, and the fact that he's your captain makes me definitely not want to do this move now.
That's very wise. Very wise. I'm hoping this is it. This is my resurgence. I've got.
I'm just going to captain Mane. I think at home. I just think Mane is going to tear City apart.
Yeah, I'm definitely bringing Mane in.
God.
This week. So yeah, you can enjoy getting a 2-point captain. return from him. Just before we go on to plans, so just one question that I had was, me and you, we've both gone a bit hit mad this season. Do you know how many hits you've taken this season?
I actually looked earlier, and it's something around 34, 36 points or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah. So let me just add them up. So you've taken 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. You've taken 34 points worth of hits this
Mm.
season, which is nearly 10% of your total points.
Oh, right. Okay.
Well,
Well,
maybe not 10%. Maybe that's a bit of a lie. Maybe like 5,
I
6%.
almost want to chalk that -12 off, because that was just pure rage after your team's not scored for 2 weeks. Plus, to add into that, which I forgot to mention at the start, is remember I wanted to take the -12 the week before that, and I would have been 19 points better off, which I
Yeah,
showed you
yeah,
my hit.
yeah.
So it would have paid for it instantly
I
at
know.
that point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've taken 20 points worth of hits, which isn't that far behind you. This was the first. I don't know about you, but this was the first week my hits have paid off. I had a look. My hits have been absolutely atrocious. The players I brought in have not been performing. I think, well, your 12-point hit wasn't a success, was it? I don't know about any of you others, but it's amazing that
Most of them have failed.
I just find it's amazing that I've taken all these hits and yet I still don't have a team I particularly like.
And I said that to you the other day, didn't I, on the other pod, that I just don't know how people are moving so fast. Every week I feel like, my team is actually really good this week on paper, and I won't really need to make many moves. And then a week goes by and suddenly I feel like I need to make at least 3 swaps.
Yeah.
Like every week. I mean, Otamendi and Mahrez have absolutely stank the hell out of my team for too long. And that was the main root of my problem, really, was putting faith in those two. The fact that Bilver is just allowed to be racist, apparently, and crack on with his life. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. Well, this is the problem, isn't it? This is why we're having to take so many hits, because I'm bringing in players like Hudson-Odoi and Aubameyang and getting rid of Mane, and you're bringing in players like Cancelo and Mahrez, and we're giving ourselves problems, aren't we? And then we have to correct
I
them.
suppose we are, but what's the fun in just buying the solid, consistent option who's just going to play every single week? There isn't any fun in it.
There's no fun in being 2 million in the world.
No, that's true. But on that note, Lundstrom can score 21 points in 1 week and pay back all those hits. You just have to get lucky.
Oh God, I just can't believe it was him. Anyone else, it would have been all right. Anyway, my question is, so like when you think about hits, it's a question that it's quite a common sort of FPL question, I think, on these kind of pods, is what is a kind of a hit like worth, like to get the team you want, to take a player out, like sometimes 4 points feels like a lot, other times it feels like just completely necessary. So what do you kind of judge when you're taking a hit, or do you just not really care and just do them because you want
to? I know the answer is basically, the correct answer is nearly always don't take the hit. I think nearly all the top managers always play patient in that way. I don't really know many of the ones who've been on the Fantasy Football Scout videos from the top managers. What do they call that series? I can't remember. Meet the Manager, is it? I think it's what it's called. I mean, I've watched the vast majority of them, and nearly all of them just play the patient game. So I think that is pretty much your answer. The proof seems to be there. However, for me, when you're paying for a pack of Watsits and you're not happy with your team, 4 points can, in any individual game, be paid off, and it can work. There's numerous examples of people doing the opposite and doing well. So I prefer to have a little bit more fun with it where I can. I've never been this hit crazy in the past before. I've done a few hits, probably about what I'm at now throughout the whole season. But I just feel like this season just seems to be so knee-jerky for me, and maybe I don't know if it is for others as well, but it certainly feels like I said, I just need to have that team that I'm happy with on paper every week. And maybe that's just a weakness in my game. It probably is, but what can you say? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it won't. So to be honest, it's probably not worth doing them.
Well, what I'm finding amazing is that I'm taking out players for hits who aren't performing or even aren't playing. So I've taken out Pukki, I've taken out Mahrez, I've taken out Otamendi, I took out De Bruyne when he got injured. All of these players, and actually, if I had just done nothing, even with players who aren't playing, I still would have been better off if I hadn't done the hit. And I know it's difficult because you can't really look at it in terms of 1 week, and then you've got to look at it going forward. But I mean, I bought De Bruyne back in for a hit and now he's had 1 assist in 2 matches. If I just left Mahrez in and got McGinn's points, I would have had the same. I would have had the same points because McGinn would have come on. And now I'm looking at thinking about taking De Bruyne out again. So I'm kind of playing hokey cokey with players taking hits and then taking them out again when they're not performing, and then wanting them back in again. Anyway, it's a funny one, isn't it? Like hits are the thing that I'm not doing this season. Is something that I said to myself that I would do more, is bank the transfer more, and then you've got, if you take a hit, you're getting rid of 3 players. You can completely restructure your team when you've got 2 frees, and for a 4-point hit, you can restructure your team. Whereas you're taking a 4-point hit with just 2 players, then you're much more limited in what you can actually do.
And I also, at the start of the season, said I want to try and do that more often. I just honestly don't feel I've very often been in that position to actually do it through probably my poor choices combined with bad luck. But
it's the same. It's the same.
I mean, a lot of the time,
putting out fires.
And a lot of the time I've taken a hit in order to get a better captain, and as a result, captained a player who's got less than who I would have captained, like nearly every time.
Yep.
I mean, there was that week a few weeks back when I was going to captain Mane, and then I took a hit to bring someone in, and Mane ended up scoring like 12, 13 points or something in a week when no one scored any points. So I would have absolutely flew, but I took a hit to get Aubameyang in, who then decided to blank. And it's just the timing. I mean, sometimes it's so hard to know when it's just a quirk or whether it's going to continue. And that's always been the skill in fantasy football. My timing is just so off at the moment. It's so off. And there was a time when it was bang on it. So I don't know if that is where the luck comes in, or whether that's just where the really, really good managers have got that knack and they just consistently keep it up. I feel like I was Ronaldinho, like I was good for 2 or 3 years. When I became fat and awful and just turned up at like 5-a-side games and show off every now and then. That's why I feel like I've gone down this route. So I need to get on the Ronaldo and Messi vibes. How do we do it, as?
I know. Well, this is it, and I mean, the if you've got players who aren't playing, it's much easier to kind of justify the hit. Like it was. I knew Wilson was going to blank and get 1 point anyway, and then I had a strong feeling Otamendi wasn't going to play, so dumping both of those to get in Vardy, and just even though I was trading 2 players for one, it still felt like a kind of 1-for-1 switch. It felt like kind of Wilson to Vardy, and because I had faith in Vardy, I kind of knew that hit would be paid for. But when you're swapping out players like Mane or Sterling or De Bruyne or Aubameyang, I mean, I got rid of Mason Mount for a hit.
Yeah,
and
that's a bit mad, isn't it?
I watched that game again. I watched his game against Watford. Oh, he was. I mean, how he didn't get sort of 12, 13 points in that game. He was absolutely brilliant in that match.
There's been some incredible point dodging this season by some players. He's one of them. Alexander Arnold has definitely been one of them.
Yep.
And there's been Sterling, that he hasn't performed that well, but there has been games where he could have easily got a hat trick and he just hasn't. It's been a lot of it. Tammy Abraham, even, he's doing well, but there has been some other games where he's missed just ridiculous amount of chances. So there's been incredible point dodging. I don't know. Maybe we've decided as that we should stop taking these hits and just be. I mean, I probably last week definitely would have been looking at taking a hit to get Vardy in because it made sense. And now I'm just going to say, no, I'm just going to leave it, see what happens. And hopefully, my patience will be rewarded for once.
So
the one time I didn't take a hit this season, right, when I was good, it was that -12, and I would have been 19 points better off.
I know.
In game week 10 if I'd have done it.
I know.
So there we go.
I think if you've got a team of playing players who sort of have sort of okay fixtures, then just the hit isn't necessarily like. There's players that I want that I don't have that I could take a hit for. Like I could do a Aubameyang to Jimenez. I'm worried about Jimenez. I think he's got 5 amazing games. I could do that, and then but then I think then I've got Aubameyang's run coming up. It just feels a bit too knee jerky.
Guess who had the most shots last week?
Was it Jimenez?
How did you know?
I just had a random guess,
Yeah, but stunningly for a player who Wolves don't create that many chances, to be honest, but he had 8 shots. Second to only Mane.
Yeah, and he scored against Arsenal, which was just the most obvious thing ever. As soon as I saw Wolves scored, I was like, it's definitely going to be Jimenez. And I mean, his next 5, I think it's 5 games. He's got just an incredible run. Got the derby against Villa. I think he's got Bournemouth, and
Jota looked
Brighton.
good as well. It looked
Yeah,
like he
yeah,
might be getting back to it.
yeah. And I mean, he's like 6.1, so he could present a good alternative as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Just final thing on the hits. The counterpoint to that is I remember a few seasons ago, one of my biggest regrets was I had a choice between Baines and Coleman, and I picked Baines. And I watched one match, and I knew that Coleman was going to do much better than Baines because Baines just wasn't getting forward, and Coleman was just playing absolutely incredibly. And I just thought, I could just do the -4 and just do Baines to Coleman. Just take the 4-point hit. But I knew over the next 5 weeks, Coleman would outscore Baines by 5 points.
I love
Didn't
how
do.
confident in your own. But I knew
I knew it.
100%.
Okay, knew maybe the wrong word, but my gut was saying Coleman is going to outscore Baines by quite a bit. Didn't do it. Played it safe. Coleman outscored him by like 20 points, I think. So that was a bad move. Do you remember early in the season, right at the start of the season, I said to you, should I take a -4 for Salah to Mane?
I do, yeah. It was that week that Salah scored 2, though.
It
You remember?
was, but that move would have paid off massively because I probably wouldn't have wildcarded.
No, you'd
But I
been
mean,
raging that week, and then you've
yeah,
remembered that bit, and that's what I was just going to touch on. Is you remember the times
yeah, it pays off.
when it affects you in a negative
Yeah,
way more than you
yeah,
do
yeah,
in a positive way. I think so. Maybe
yeah.
that.
It's true. Well, that is true. And then another one was, and then it's happened again recently. So I could have taken so I bought in Callum Wilson. Well, it was before the Southampton game, and I think Wilson had Norwich at home, and obviously I wanted him for that game. I thought he was going to do really well, but I wanted Vardy sort of long term. So I thought, what I can do, I could bring in Wilson for this game and then think about moving him on, blah blah blah. And I was like, or I could just accept that I messed up, didn't bank that one extra I needed, and just take -4 and just get Vardy in, who I know I want for like weeks. And I went with like the short term option, and again that's cost me like 24 points. This is what I mean though. This is where a hit actually does pay off
Yeah.
because you're kind of trusting your gut and not really worrying too much about the fact it's 4
No,
points.
I don't think there's any lessons he has. I think that a bunch of stuff happens, and sometimes you're lucky, and sometimes you're
Yeah,
not. Hits are good, hits are bad. Like, I don't know. It feels that way at the moment to me, that there isn't really necessarily not over such a short period of time, short period of data. I think it's like I'll go back to the Meet the Manager series. Yeah, if you're looking at consistently finishing in the top 10k over like 13 seasons, a good policy to adopt is not to be taking hits every week. However, there will always be individual game weeks and individual times where it will have worked out.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure if you let a computer play this game and played the perfect season, as in literally tried to get the most points it could possibly do, I'm pretty convinced there'd be hits every week. The computer would take hits every week, right? Because he's not going to want, I don't know, Wesley for the whole season, but then he goes and scores a brace and gets max bonus in a week. It's worth a -4 to bring him in, right? So a computer would be taking hits every week. Unfortunately, we don't know the outcome. So you just have to be one of those lucky people. And there are often people at the top of the league come the end of the season who have taken a whole bunch of hits. They've never done anything in fantasy football before. They've come 3 million every other time, and just everything's worked out for them. I want to be one of those people. I don't want logic on my side. I don't care about finishing in the top 10k every year. I want Wesley for his hat trick and to come first in the world. So
yeah.
hopefully one day that'll happen.
And that's the way we play the game. See, I think there is a lesson. I think the lesson I'm going to take from it is that if you're ever in doubt, I think the not taking a hit is the best option. If you're ever looking at your team and thinking, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do that? Then you should do it. If you're looking at your team and thinking, I should do that, right, and you're confident and you're trusting yourself, then you should do it because that's how I like to play the game and how we like to play it.
You're probably right. At least when you take the hit, the argument for it is then at least your team is a step ahead. It's in the right direction that you wanted to go. Of course, the opposition to that is if you've done a move that then looks stupid a week later, and suddenly there's a whole new blueprint that you want. But part of it comes down to me of just being happy with my team. This week I'm not particularly happy, but I'm going to grin and bear it because I've just taken a -12, so I feel like I can't keep doing it.
Yeah, this one's a tricky one because Liverpool and City are playing each other. It means that sort of your other players kind of come into it a bit more, whereas they're the kind of players that you kind of rely on. So if you've got Sterling, De Bruyne, Alexander-Arnold, and Mane, that's 4 of your 11. So you're not thinking I'm probably not going to get that many. Well, you're quite confident in Mane, but that there's a bit of sort of friction there between those ones. So you're kind of reliant on other
I'm fairly
players.
confident in Mane, but he's now like one of the most highly owned players in the game. So he's not really going to do anything magical for me that is going to propel me up any leaderboards because he's so highly owned. So I just really hope that game's like 4-4. Robertson and Trent involved in the points as well, like they normally are, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah, and I mean you're worried about Vardy, and I'm worried about Jimenez. So really, they kind of cancel each other out.
I suppose. Yeah, I've got Pereira at home to Arsenal for his nothing, and Chilwell hitting a goal or whatever.
Yeah, for his 2 points. Just say it. Yeah. Right. Okay. So that's the kind of the main talking points. Shall I throw some questions at you?
Why not? What, from the community, you mean? Or are you just going to ask me like what my wallpaper is? Or
Well, I would like to know. Have you still got that wallpaper that you had on the Scoutcast? Like is that the yellowy kind of flowery one?
Stalker alert.
Just a bit. I remember your wallpaper. It was quite sort of, what's the polite way? Old fashioned, shall we say?
Yeah, it's called just not being asked to do anything about it.
Oh wow, talking about wallpaper. I mean, we have really got old.
Definitely.
So one question. So it's kind of the same question that's being asked in kind of different ways, and also I'm quite interested to know what you think about it. It's what do we do with Aubameyang? So quite a few of the questions on Twitter were Aubameyang or Jimenez, Aubameyang or Rashford, Aubameyang or Robertson, Jimenez or Robertson. All these kind of things. So I don't think either of us would advise anyone to bring in Aubameyang. I think that is pretty much a given, unless you have an alternative view on that.
No.
No.
I really like him as a player, so I want to say yes, but Arsenal just seem to be so ropey, and you don't know what you're going to get, and it's painful watching him, especially if he's going to be out on the left wing and stuff. That I don't think he's worth the money, really. That's the problem.
But what do you do with him? So say you've got him, like I have, and like a few people have. He's got Leicester away, really tough fixture. I'm not expecting anything in that game. I'm expecting 2 points in that game. But then he's got Southampton at home, Norwich away, Brighton at home, West Ham away.
I mean, it makes sense on paper to keep him, but there are so many other options that are cheaper that are just, Tammy Abraham and Vardy for a start. Like, if you haven't got either of those two, then, you pretty much need to be looking at them. And then you've got Jimenez, who potentially is looking good as well. You've got Jota. I know Man United are crap, but Rashford has been doing all right, and he's got penalties, so he's an option. He's also just generally cheaper. You've even got if you want to play the 4-4-2 like I am, you've obviously got Connolly. You've got the Sheffield United lad. I don't know how to say it. Is it Mozet? How do you say his surname? But he's been doing well.
Yeah, I thought it was
Mousse.
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. The former Bournemouth striker who now looks half decent. He's an option.
The fact you're considering, the fact you're potentially advising Aubameyang to Mousse tells me quite a lot about your faith in him.
I suppose it's just what you're going to do with the extra money. It's all independent to your team, individual to your team, isn't it? Aubameyang is a great player. He's got a great record. He will continue to score points, but if you're not looking to captain him on many of them days and there's cheaper players doing it, then I've just looked to downgrade him, to be honest. But if there's so many cheap players doing, Lundstrom should be in our starting 11 every week, and a lot of people got him for 4 million, so that instantly frees up so much cash. And then there's so many premiums, like Aguero seems to be almost a no-go option. Kane's like a no-go option. So Sterling, people are looking to remove because he's got bad games, and then Salah's got a bust injury ankle and not really been up to it. So apart from Mane, where are you even going to spend your cash? So if your team doesn't need the funds, then I'd still keep him because the games are good. But apart from that, I don't know. What do you think? You've got him. Are you going to remove him?
I've got him. The only, I've got. If I didn't have Vardy, I'd be doing it. I'd be doing Aubameyang to Vardy. This is a good week to do it. I think Vardy at home to Arsenal is a much better game than away at Leicester. And if you don't do it this week, you are kind of stuck with him. You can't sell Aubameyang before Southampton at home or Norwich away. Like you have to keep him for those two, I think.
I'd be tempted to hold him on the basis that I really hope Emery gets sacked soon.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, if someone else comes in, you would have thought it might make a big difference to Arsenal because they've got the players
Mm.
to cause teams all sorts of problems. You got Ozil, Ceballos, Saka, Lacazette, Aubameyang. They've got attacking players to die
Yeah.
for.
Yep.
And their fullbacks are very attacking and good, which is obviously a key position in football. So the centre, basically, their only weak areas like defensive. Well, they've got Torreira if he's played in the right position. Their only real weak areas at centre back, really, you could argue, when their full teams out. So I'd almost be tempted to keep and hope that happens. However, given Arsenal's record of having Wenger for like so many years, can we rely on him getting sacked even if they're that bad? I don't know. Seems like a bit of a punt to rely on that.
Yeah, and I think Jimenez is the one that I'm considering the downgrade from. I mean, you mentioned about the money, but Jimenez is nearly 4 million cheaper than Aubameyang, and really over the next 5 games, I think both are probably about as good an option as each other.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jimenez outscored Aubameyang. I wouldn't be that surprised if Aubameyang outscored Jimenez. But I mean, there's 4 million difference. So if I could conceivably do Aubameyang to Jimenez and then upgrade sort of Hudson-Odoi to Mane, I would do it without thinking about it. But it's not.
I mean, in that instance, it's a choice between Mane and Aubameyang. There's only one winner, isn't there?
Yeah,
so
but it's not just a choice between Mane and Aubameyang because there's a million difference between them now. And it would require a formation change because the problem is there's no the finding a midfielder for around sort of 5-6 million is quite easy to do, whereas finding a striker for around that is a lot more difficult. You got Connolly, but I don't think he's not going to be reliable enough. He's a bench player. He's a player who can come in and do a job for you, but I think with Trossard coming back, his minutes are going to be reduced.
Well, one thing I'm personally looking at, just to slightly go off piece here, is to get. I'm saying I love Trossard. I think he's amazing. Is to have Trossard and Connolly, and then if you're playing 4-4-2, or 3-5-2, with Trossard playing, and then obviously you just start Trossard every week, and if he is benched and Connolly starts, then you got to hope that maybe you'll get one or the other. I mean, the chances are they probably come off the bench, but you can see my theory here that having two who both play in the same position, you might have a better chance of one of them actually starting, because I think they're almost in direct competition with each other. I mean, you probably know better than me, but it seems that way. Or is it Gross that he's in competition with?
I think Gross is more at risk at the moment than Connolly is. Connolly, he's been one of our best players so far. Gross has been kind of ticking along, but he's kind of adapting to the formation, whereas that kind of where Gross is playing, which is kind of like almost as a striker at times or on the right stuff, isn't quite where he's most comfortable. Whereas that's exactly where Trossard's comfortable, and Trossard is by far the best player we have. Like there is no way he is going to. He's only been benched the last couple of games because he's still recovering from that injury. I mean, he was out for 6 weeks.
And Brighton's games are awful, but I just think Brighton play so well and did even over that period. And Trossard, in the limited minutes he's had, has been such a baller and is such a good price that I almost don't care. I feel like I need to get him. I feel like I really want him in my team.
Well, I've got Sterling to Mane on the cards this week, and then I've got Hudson-Odoi to Trossard the week after.
I like it.
That's my plan, and that's with no hits. So it'd be nice.
Like that.
It'd be nice to have. I mean, Trossard's games though, and got United away, which I think is potentially the best of the bunch.
Piece of piss.
Yeah. Then Leicester at home. Tough. We always struggle against Leicester. Leicester are going to turn us over. They always do. Liverpool away, pretty dreadful. Arsenal away, not bad, but still, top 6 team.
Liverpool always conceding, Arsenal conceding. I don't think it's that bad. That's what I was meaning when I was looking at it. The games are sort of bad, but everyone's conceding goals, and who's going to be involved in a goal? It looks Trossard every time he's on the pitch seems to be involved in one. So
the thing is, we're not a team anymore that sits back. Like under Houghton, we'd be playing United, Leicester, Liverpool, Arsenal, and we would be sitting
relying
back
on
and
a Gross set piece.
Yeah, exactly, relying on something like that. We are going to go. We went at City when we went to City. We had like, possession was our possession was up. Our number of passes was like doubled compared to last year when we had Houghton. Like we went for them. It didn't work, but we went for them.
And that's why I kind of I like to identify those managers who don't want to play with the handbrake on, and they don't really care who they're playing, and they have an identity. You watch Brighton, and it's really good watch at the moment. And so the fixtures don't really matter that much to me. Not for an attacking player, anyway. I feel like they might concede in most of those games, but I don't think that's going to hurt Trossard. I think if anything, that helps him.
5.8 is an absolutely outrageous price for Trossard.
Yeah.
He's absolutely ridiculous. He is honestly, the talent of him is just unbelievable. Even in the game, before he got injured, he was unlucky not to get more points. He had a goal disallowed against West Ham. He was absolutely amazing against City. And could have scored.
I feel like he's a more direct Maddison.
Yeah.
Like a more direct version of him, and he's cheaper.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yeah.
We've
bigged him up, and I think he's going to be fucking awful now.
You just know it. Yeah, it's just
benched and come on for 11 minutes.
It's just the fixtures that put off. So what do we do with Aubameyang? Well, I don't think that's the answer. I'm keeping him, so sell him. that's the answer. God, this is a very self-deprecating podcast this time, isn't it?
It's been mostly like that. But what
listen
can
to
you do?
us.
Listen, we've got to promise ourselves as when we do well, because it could happen. We're just going to sit here and toot our own horns and big ourselves up non-stop because we've earned it.
I'm going to get a massive cigar, and I'm going to sit here and just puff away while we talk.
That is actually like Top Guns. We can both get our cigars out.
Oh, that's it. We just need to wait for us both to have a good week. So, game week 37, we might do it. But oh god!
And I tell you what, right? We'll say we put out a pod, and we'll just have the theme tune to Top Guns, and then just us smoking a cigar in the background,
and then just end it. Don't even give any advice. Just nailed it.
Yeah. Mic drop. See you later.
We'll both be 1.5 million in the world, but up from 3 million. It'd be nice. One more question. So Eddie which I like the name of, on Twitter, asks for what do you both define as the limit of holding on to a non-performing player?
So, half time.
Yeah, for you. Straight in the bin. Hasn't scored in 20 minutes. Out.
I don't know. I don't have any confidence. Is there any more to that question? What is the limit?
Yes, when you've got a player in your team who isn't performing, sort of how long do you give them, typically?
I guess when you got the player in, you probably you should probably have had a plan in your mind of how many games you were keeping them for. I mean, some players should be almost season keepers, I guess, but I'll often look at sort of around 4 to 6 weeks and try to stick by that. However, there might be signs in those 4 to 6 weeks, and there might be other options that are just too good to ignore. So you just have to. It's so individualistic. I think you just have to play it by what's going on. But my short answer would be I would look to give them 4 to 6 if you had confidence over that 4 to 6 games.
So that's why you bought in Sterling, and you're going to sell him straight away.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm not selling him, remember. I'm keeping him. And B, I had to have him for the captain. It had to be done.
So he's the individualistic option that you
He's
mentioned.
A special case.
He's your caveat that you added into your answer. It's very clever.
Thank you.
I mean, Pukki's a good example, isn't he? Because alarm bells started going off for me when he had got 2 double-digit hauls against Chelsea and City at home, and then he blanked against Burnley. And I thought, okay, Burnley away, it's quite tough. And then he blanks against Palace away, and it's like, okay, so he can't score against teams who are a bit more defensive and probably not as open as those other games. And then he blanks against Villa at home. And you think, that's 3 games. He should really be probably getting at least a goal in. And then he blanks against Bournemouth.
Yeah, and at that point when you were saying probably should be taking him out, I was saying we probably have faith. So that's where I was saying you need to give him about 4 or 6 games. See, that's my normal strat. However, I would have been totally fucking wrong on that as usual. So
yeah, I think 3 games for me is if they're it depends what games they are. But I think if they're 3 games where you would expect them to be scoring in, well, if they're not 3 games you expect them to be scoring in, you shouldn't have them for those 3 games for a start. So if you're looking at a player, if you're thinking, he's not going to get any goals in these 3 games, probably get rid. But if he does go through a patch where he's not scoring in 3 games, then I would definitely be looking to a tricky. I mean, if Aubameyang hadn't scored against Wolves, he'd be gone for me.
Yeah, and you have to base it on the player, don't you? I put out a tweet about Aubameyang saying he's got roughly I can't remember what the minutes were, but an incredible goal to minutes ratio. Roughly 100 every 108 minutes, I think it was, or something like that. He scores a goal since he's been in the Premier League. He's just been 3 games prior to this Wolves game without scoring. So 100. Why am I doing 2? Quickly do 90 times 3 for me. My brain's gone.
270, mate.
Thank you, Chaz. Thank you, Dr. Chaz. So 270 minutes without a goal, yet he's got 108 minutes per goal record. It just is almost inevitable that he's going to score regardless of how crap Arsenal were. And so for him, I think it's like, well, it's going to happen. He hasn't suddenly gone past his peak or anything. There's no other reasons really that would mean he's declined. I think there are special cases.
Talk about alarm bells, though. I mean, Bournemouth at home, Sheffield United away, Crystal Palace at home. He should be scoring in one of those, well, at least one of those games for 11 million.
Should be, definitely. And if you are keeping him like you are for the next 2 or 3, I would suggest that you will be binning him off if he doesn't score after 2, probably.
Well, I can't, because I'm not expecting anything from out of Leicester. I am expecting something from against Southampton.
That's the game.
If he blanks in those, but then he's got Norwich away. I can't sell Aubameyang before he plays Norwich away.
Do you want to bet?
I will not be selling Aubameyang before Norwich away.
I'm not betting you after Rico Kelly. That game. Shit.
No! You ruined it. That's going to be. I'm coming on to that in a minute. That's what the people are here for. They've just listened.
I'm not playing anymore anyway. Game shit.
They've listened to us prattle on for an hour, but really they're here for. It's Rico and Kelly. It's Rico and Kelly. It's Rico and Kelly. Watch. What do you
think? Still stunned you're including that in our podcast. What do I think? I think that Kelly has not played a single minute. The bet is void. Rico, who had all the attacking threat in the world, is suddenly can't attack for shit. Like I said, he'd be taken off a set pieces. He's a crap option, and Bournemouth can't keep clean sheets. So, no one wins. However, he got 3 clean sheets out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rico Kelly Watch is probably dead now. Kelly isn't playing, which is a shame. I even bought Kelly in this week so that I could keep better tabs on them both. And now he's not playing. Bought him in because you said he was, he was the first choice, and he's done enough and proven himself. I said to you, no, he's third choice. He's behind Sacco and Tompkins. Behind bloody Cahill now.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't listen to me as either.
No. Yeah. Well, actually, Rico and Kelly Watch is we probably won't keep doing this all season. I was quite excited. If they were both playing, I think we probably would keep it up. But
in an interesting twist of events, I looked at how I could get Trossard and Vardy into my team, and Cancelo to Rico is part of that move. So
I'll tell you what,
I could end up with him in my team.
He is not a bad pick. Genuinely, he is not a bad pick. Because
he's all right. Calm down. They got 3 clean sheets, but this ain't going to happen with Bournemouth. It's going to go Pete Tong eventually.
Calm down. He's an all right pick. Calm down.
He's not. He did actually take a couple of corners. I looked at him I was comparing him to Adam Smith because they're both 4.3, and I'm a big Adam Smith fan to see who was better. And I was hoping Adam Smith came out on top. In the last 2 weeks, he does for goal threat, and he looks like he's more advanced. However, Rico was still on corners, which surprised me because I thought that he wasn't, and Fraser and stuff had taken over. But I haven't been watching.
He takes a good corner, and against Watford, he hit the ball so sweetly. It just went past the post. He hit a really, really nice shot. He wasn't particularly attacking against United, but 3 clean sheets. The next 4 games are good. I think people who are looking to free up some cash, I genuinely think you could do a lot worse than getting Rico in, because I think he's nailed down that left back spot now. Kelly guy isn't getting in with Rico playing like this. I think Rico had about 5 or 6 like important tackles in that game against United, and they're all successful. He's playing well.
Yes, he is, and I might get him at some point.
Can't wait to the day. Can't wait to the day. Yeah, so that's Rico and Kelly Watch done. Rico is much better, and I've won fantasy football because of it.
Yeah, and I'm not playing any more games with you. I'm throwing my toys out the pram.
You are, aren't you? Yeah. Didn't even react to my last little jingle I made up. No,
I didn't want to. What are the name of those things? That tumbleweed. That's it. I was just letting that be a tumbleweed moment.
Yeah, you are letting that out. Right. So finally, let's just talk about plans. what are you? Has any of this helped you make any decisions? Do you know what you're going to do this
No,
week?
has it balls? I haven't got an idea. I don't know. Actually, yeah, I was considering making the hit for Vardy. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave my team. I'm not going to make any moves. If Vardy scores 2 or 3 goals, then you'll find me very angry on the next podcast again.
Delightful. I think one of us will be miserable. I think because I will be miserable if Jimenez scores, and you'll be miserable if Vardy scores, and I think both of them are going to score. So I think
Well,
we'll both be upset.
well, we could both be happy then, as long as he matches him. I'm not too bothered.
Okay, so if Jimenez and Vardy get equal points, then we'll both be happy.
Do you know what? I don't even care if Vardy scores 2 or 3, as long as Mane, as my captain, scores like a brace or something. I'll take that.
That's nice. So Maverick Luke is going to make no transfers this week. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got to calm down.
Yeah, you have. You've got to rein it in a bit.
34 points in hits.
And you're
hopes
going
for
to,
me.
yeah, and you're going to be going into City Liverpool with 5 players.
Well, yeah, technically I've got 6, but I'm not going to start Cancelo in that game. So, yeah, 5.
6. Yeah, of course. Yeah, wow, 5 players. My team, I'm going to do Sterling to Mane, I think, unless there's any injuries. I mean, I don't feel that confident with selling Sterling because it's Sterling, but I can't really see any other way to bring Mane in that doesn't involve hits and complete restructures. I think De Bruyne will tick over enough. The City, like, it's such a strange team, aren't they?
If there's
Like,
any game that you can be fairly confident to take Sterling out, it's got to be away at Anfield, given his
exactly.
past history there.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And then
mean,
it's
you'd have to get pretty unlucky for him to do well there, I think.
yeah, exactly. And then it's Chelsea. Can't see them going ballistic against them. Then the 2 tricky away games. He could easily be benched in one of those. I think I'll just have to ride that. It'll be nervy going without him, but it's been nervy going out without Mane. So something's got to give, and then I can think about changing it up when Aubameyang's fixtures end. So that's my plan. It means I've still got Hudson-Odoi, who I'm really upset about because I really thought he was going to be a good differential. And if Pulisic hadn't scored a hat trick, he would have been.
And that's what I mean about things move so fast sometimes. The stars aligned for Hudson-Odoi. I bought him in my Sky team, convinced he was going to do well. And then Pulisic comes from nowhere and now looks an incredible option himself. I'm part of my theory of, like, if I do remove Sterling, who should I get in? Maddison was one, Trossard's one, and Pulisic is genuinely another. Like, I don't think you can go there because the problem is Cho is such a good player that, like, you should just worry all the time. But
yeah,
in terms of just, outright points and goal scoring ability, the guy's got hat tricks in him. It's like another Son or whoever, Lucas Moura, these kind of players who they don't play all the time, but when they do play, they do really well. Who was that German lad who played for Chelsea?
Schürrle.
That's it. He's another one who reminds me of that sort of thing, where he just seems to have goals in him. So yeah, I hope it goes well for you anyway, mate, because I need you up here at these dizzy heights at 1 million with me. You can have some proper banter, because right now you're like, I don't know, like Pond Life or something.
Oh God, I tell you, I'm just bottom of all my leagues, and I'm losing to people who, like, one of my mates has got his most expensive defenders, Ake. He's got double Sheffield United defence.
People don't realise how tough it is to do these kind of things. To go on Fantasy Football Scout, to do this pod, to have Twitter accounts that, like, have some vague following and just be utterly shit at fantasy football. Don't have to have a really bad season. I think Mark talks about it once, didn't he? When he was, I think in his awful season, he just decided he was going to have to, not do anything rogue and get in Aguero and captain. He didn't want to because it was painful, and it certainly is painful.
Yeah, I mean, there was. I think someone asked me a question the other day on Twitter. They were like, "I'm sort of losing the desire to play the game, and I feel like all my decisions are going wrong and stuff." And I had it a bit last year. I felt a lot more down last year because I was around the kind of 500,000-600,000 mark, I think, at this point, and nothing I did seemed to be working and all that. I've kind of embraced it a bit more this season. I'm kind of like I'm such a low rank at 2 million that I'm not getting, like, massively upset that I keep having bad rank, because I keep thinking when I do kind of I'm sure I'm going to turn it around. I'm not going to finish 2 millionth in the world. If I can turn this round into a top 100k finish, then I think in some ways that kind of shows a different side to managing a team.
You just have to embrace it, don't you? And just just change your goalpost slightly. I think we started off with like, yeah, I'm going to win it. Then I'm going to be
Yeah.
top 10k. Then maybe 50k. Then you're like 100k, and then it's just like, well, you just have to reset new goalposts for yourself to make it interesting. I think at the end of the day, if you're in mini leagues with cash and stuff, then I guess just focus on them. What does the overall rank matter at the end of the day? It doesn't really matter, does it? Unless you're going to win, or you literally are making a living from FPL from finishing in the top 10k every week, every season.
I don't know. I'm a bit of a purist. Like I look at my overall ranks. If I just suddenly whack in a 2 million finish in like 12 seasons of playing, that's
Yeah.
gonna hurt.
You see, the reason I think I don't have that is because I played FPL without making a single transfer one season when I didn't even know what the game was, and then so in my history, let me just look at it. I can't remember now. So 2007, 2008, I created an FPL team. I didn't even make a transfer. I don't think. I didn't understand it. I just left it. Didn't really get into it. And I didn't play FPL again until 2011, 2012.
Right.
So that's the first time I rediscovered it again and sort of half started taking it seriously. So for me, my previous record or Hall of Fame stuff's absolutely screwed by one that shouldn't exist as far as I'm concerned, because I didn't even play. So for me, I've almost got that weight off my shoulders where it's like.
But that wasn't that bad a finish. You came to 263,000.
Yeah, and I don't even think I made a transfer, so I must have just got completely lucky with my team. Like, I don't know, but because I've got that overhanging me as like the backup, the first initial entry point is like I don't really care.
Yeah, no, and like last season you had a pretty rough finish, didn't you?
Yeah, 500,000.
And then you look at like FPL General, rough finish. Look at Jay Egerstoff, rough finish. Like they're all bouncing back this season, which is really nice. And it didn't kind of, it can feel like the kind of end of the world when it happens, but actually, it's a bit. I mean, it's a really ridiculous example, but it's like a kind of scar, isn't it? Like you look at that season. Like I look back at my season history, and I can tell you a story about every single season that I look at. Like the 870.
That's all that matters, Az. You've solved it. That is all that matters.
Well, it's one of those things that you like. It means everything to you at the moment, but in a year's time, you'll look back and be like, oh fucking hell, that was a fucking awful season. Yeah, I remember when I didn't get in Vardy because I was 0.1 off and blah blah blah. And you've got a kind of story behind it. So I think it can seem like the end of the world at the moment, but you will look back on it and sort of have some memories. I think the people that just like outright quit stuff. I can't ever imagine doing that.
I'm never going to do that. I don't think.
No,
I just have more fun with it at the end of the day.
Exactly. I mean, even if you just say, oh, do you know what? If I'm 2 million in the world, come like game week, I don't know, 30 or something, then I would probably just go, throw it all to the wind and just try and have a bit of fun with it. But at this stage, like I still feel like I can salvage something good out of it. I mean, I'm 25 points behind you, and if I catch that up, that's a million rank. Like half.
Well, I've smashed my triple captainship, so you could make that up easily if you get lucky with it straight away.
And I've got other targets. Like I've got to beat this guy who's got Ake as his main defender.
Yeah, please do.
His highest finish is about 1 million. So I think he's like 30k at the moment. So it's not like he's doing badly.
That's a tough ask.
I know, but I'm hoping that he forgets or he bottles it or something. So I've got other targets basically. You've got as you say, you've got to adjust the goalposts and work out.
That's it. My only goalpost now really is to, well, it's not even really that. I'm just having fun. But I've got my two brothers in a league. There's just us three. One of them lives in Australia, doesn't get to watch the games, doesn't ever really bother with it too much. He does listen to this podcast, so I can't slag him off that much. And my other brother is, I've already mentioned, the one who's played it for the first time ever after being stubborn and never wanting to do it. And both of them are ahead of me in a 3-man mini league. So I need to beat them. That is my goal.
There you go. We've got our goals. We've got to make sure we win. Right, that's it. Thank you, Luke. It's been lovely talking to you again.
Yeah. It's always, I love talking to myself as well. It's so fun. And I love talking to you as well, mate.
Thanks, mate. It's quite cathartic, I think. These talks.
I don't know what that means, but thanks.
Cathartic is like when it's like if you're feeling really angry and you go boxing, and it kind of like makes you calm. Like you
so
kind
like
of
blowing off steam to
blowing off steam. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Exactly. Thanks.
Taught you something today, and I've taught you to times 90 by 3. So you've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Nothing about FPL, but psychology and counting, we're sorted.
Don't work 10-hour shifts and have 2 kids because you lose all brain power.
Yeah,
just a FYI.
I have no intention of doing either of those things. So that's good. Right. Thanks a lot, mate. I will speak to you next week. Good luck the weekend ahead.
You too, mate. See ya.